Love is but a song we sing, feels the way we die.
See, Professor Chilmonic, today we're going to show you how to change the thermal paste on a motherboard and a CPU. You're going to need 3 napkins, a cleaner, a solvent, and of course you're going to need thermal paste. Today we're going to use EVGA thermal paste. Here is the chipset. This is a LGA 2011. And what that means is it's got 2011 copper contacts or electrical contacts that go into the socket. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove. First thing you do is turn off the power. Unplug it from the back and then purge whatever's left over on the board. So there's no electrical current going through whatsoever. And then you're going to loosen up each with a screwdriver. You're going to pull off your cover. I use a workstation. You're going to pull off your fan or your water block or your whatever it is you put on your board. Now, this is what it looks like. Okay? Now we want to get rid of that. So we're going to put this on the side for now. And this is what you're looking at right this second. That's the CPU for the X79 motherboard with a Core i7 3820 quad core. It's a large chip. It's one of the largest chips out there. It's got a 2-prong CPU hold down arm. You lift it up gently. To expose the CPU. Before we do that, though, I want to clean the thermal paste. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Right inside the socket. You take one of your cloths, and all you do is wipe it off. You get it as best as you can clean. Now the rule of thumb is when you're changing thermal paste, you have to use a solvent. They're not integratable and they're not interchangeable. So once you see that CPU is nice and clean, you'll see how clean it is. We're going to take first the thermal remover. I use Arctic Silver, and we're just going to dab a couple of drops on to break up the residue that's still on the CPU. Once you clean it, you cannot touch it and get your skin oil on it. That won't make a contact at that point. You're going to rub this on, and as you could see, it's still taking off stuff. Even though it looked clean, it's actually still cleaning the CPU itself. And it's getting better. It doesn't have to be 100% like when it came out of the box, because then we're going to use the purifier. It's a surface purifier. We're going to do the same. We're going to drop some drops on here. Take the third and last one of your napkins and you're going to clean it. Now this smells like orange, sort of like orange pumice the mechanics use to clean their hands after working on cars. And here we have more coming off. So now that we see that the CPU is nice and clean, we're going to apply we're going to apply a thermal paste. Now, we're using EVGA. I trust EVGA. And usually you spread it on as a grain of rice. But because this CPU is a little larger, that might be a little bit too much. So we'll immediately just dab it. We can always add extra. Now, you're going to take a plastic coated cardboard or something that's slippery, and you're going to start in the middle, and you're going to push out. Can you hold this? As you see what I'm doing, and we're going to go to the outsides. Now, thermal paste is used so the CPU doesn't burn onto your cooler. You're going to take and you're going to wipe off with just your finger all the paste on the side and clean it up nice. Keep using your napkin to clean off all the excess so you look professional, not like me. Once you're coated, now we're going to turn our attention to the water block. And we're going to clean the water block. Okay, again, we're going to start off by taking the excess off. It always transfers. You don't put it on both. You just put it on one. Because there is a transfer that goes. And you look for the cleanest spot so you know you're getting it all off. And this is pure copper. And this is a Swiftech LGA 2011. Okay, now, the key with a water block is you got to keep it straight up. Keeping it straight up, we're going to clean the block till it's nice and dry. I can feel it. Then we're going to use the purifier, the surface purifier. To clean off any residue whatsoever from whatever it is on there, the cleaner or the thermal paste, and she's getting nice and clean. Okay, once that's done, we're ready to secure the block onto the CPU. We want to just take a look at the CPU to make sure that not a lot is on there. It's a good size, but this CPU also gets hot. Like I said, which I'm going to show you now. This is the largest CPU that's made. This chipset. And don't do this at home. Once you're done, I know what I'm doing. This has 2011 contacts that touch this center. If you look into the socket, there's 2011 electrical contacts in this socket set. And that's how you determine the speed, or I guess you would call it the, okay, it's not coming to my mind. You put the CPU back in, they have tongue and groove, what they call keys. And once she's locked, if you look down, you'll see that the grooves are locked, the keys are locked. You close her up. This one goes first. This one is second. And now she's locked down. Then we take, that should give us enough time for this to dry off. Then we're going to position. First we're going to take the first screw and we're going to turn it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And that's so we can balance so we don't have to mess with it. Then we're going to go directly across to the outside nut and also fasten that 3 turns. Now it might have to push down a little bit. So now that we have that on, we're going to start with the other one. On the other sides, the opposite sides. And I can't see too well because it is nighttime, 3 times. And what you want to do without a water block, you can, these are called thumb screws, is you want to take and you want to spin your screws onto your CPU block 4 times each. Not in a circular motion either, always in a caddy on the opposite corners. So it goes down nice and firm and straight. So I'm going to turn these all the way or most of the way, come back to these. That's the beauty about having a water block, is installation of your block is really, really simple. And now once these thumb screws are all turned down, you know it's secure. You push your system back. You would cover your computer again, put whatever peripheral you took out back in, you close it up, and you will get ready to start it. Now, I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to turn the power back on. Make sure all of my power connectors are good. So my fan and my block and my pump and the reservoir, everything is working. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you everything is solid. The tubes are nice and filled. If you can look closer, the pump is vibrating like crazy. There's air coming out of my fans, from both of the fans. It's called a dual radiator. Windows is starting. Windows 7 64-bit. And then we'll go over to CPU hardware monitor. And we'll show you the temps. And here you go. My CPU is 29 degrees. The cores, I have dual 7870s on this one for gaming power with 1200 watt power supply. And there's your temperature. So now you know it's good, it's solid. We're going to make sure they're tightened down again, each individual one. Don't be afraid. It's called a hot test, but that's okay. Now we're good. Everything worked. And that's the end of your video. Computer Literacy, Professor Chilmarnik. The end.